Hello, 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 everybody. Get some invites happening here and get some shares going. Uh oh. Oh no, what's happened there? Ooh, I wonder what happened. Okay. Got some kind of problem there. Hey guys.
Hey.
Didn't know if you could
I
hear me
think
or not.
I think this is pretty quirky tonight.
What?
Oh, this is already acting up for me. All my apps are.
Uh-oh.
So hopefully
Yeah,
everyone's
my
okay.
Facebook is acting up for some reason.
Yeah,
Hey, Mark.
yeah. Let's
We
hope
might
not.
we may have cyber attacks with Russia thing tonight.
Yeah,
Say
who
what?
knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any. I just got home from work a little bit ago. I never watched the news. Did something happen today?
Ukraine fired a long-range missile and hit something in Russia. They're trying to start another war.
Wow.
Yeah. Is Tim coming tonight?
He just said something in the chat there, but I didn't understand it. But I'm going to send him a link here, and it says he's on. He's on here.
Oh, he just said. Oh, he said he's on his way. Okay,
Okay.
I see it now. I just missed it.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good
I
afternoon.
don't get short forms, so I'm not good at short forms.
Ain't just that light. I got too much light on everything.
Oh, looks okay. How are you, Sally?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. How did your afternoon go?
Good, busy. I've had a busy day, but it's all good. I'm good.
That's good to hear.
What's that?
That's good to hear.
Yeah. How was your day?
Good. That's all I can say. not not much went on really.
No.
No.
I don't think that helped much. No, that doesn't do anything. I try to get as much glare off of everything as I can. It's hard though sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I can see it well.
Hi everyone in the chat.
Yes, hello to everybody coming in. If I didn't say hello.
Hey guys. We got a bunch of people already.
Yes, we do.
It's a good topic.
Yes.
Hello, Steve. Hello, Doxa. Hey, Dorothy. Somebody in the chat said, can you recommend a classicist that you trust for accurate translations? Hey, Tim is here. He said
Oh
hello.
wow. Oh yeah, let me get Tim up. I did Muntz's course, and then this guy named Bill's. I'll try to find it and post it on Discord. I did Bill's course. I liked his better. I tried both of them. I kept going back and forth, but I have Muntz's book and his workbook. And like I said, I can't read it. I can't read out loud good. I know most of the words now, though, when I see them, so I'm getting better at that.
Hi Tim.
It's a hard language,
Hey,
but
Tim.
it's well worth doing,
This is the Greek that you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Dadgum. People.
How doing?
How are you doing tonight, Tim?
I'm doing good, and I feel fine too.
Good. Did I wake you up a million times?
Nope, I was sleeping like a baby.
Okay, good. Good. As far as the reading, we'll tag team and we'll start at the newest.
Hello, Shannon.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't want to get old and be on Medicare when it's open enrollment because you get 50 calls a day, people trying to get you to switch your insurance.
Oh,
I've never
wow.
seen so many calls. It's like, and now I'm marking them spam, and I can tell when they're calling back.
Yeah.
I just have to look at
Yeah.
the ID. It's crazy.
That's good.
Yeah, they've been driving me crazy. This one should be good tonight, guys. I hope everybody enjoys it. Um,
Great topic.
this
We
freaked
always
me.
enjoy it.
This verse freaked me out years ago, and I'm going to show y'all a short video that freaked me out. Was actually the video that made me think about all this. And I didn't even know if it was still on YouTube because it was like 9 years ago. And that's when I first started looking at this verse. So it worried me. It was like, how can we do all this stuff and then he's going to tell us that he doesn't know us, We got a plenty here. I think I'm going to go ahead and get started then. Let's
Sounds
see. I may have to adjust this one a little bit. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. Somehow I've got it a little off. I don't know why it's... Maybe I've got it too big from here. Oh, crap. No, not like that.
It took off on you.
Yeah, it did. I don't know why it's not flipping slides. Okay, now, why is it doing this? I don't know why it's not doing right. Okay, don't do this to me.
Is it frozen up?
I don't know if it's frozen or what it's doing. I dropped it down and see it's still on the screen on a different slide. Oh. Now maybe. Oh, this is not funny.
Aren't computers fun? Not really, eh?
I may have to try opening and closing it, and I hope the whole thing ain't gone. I'm getting a blank now.
Well, isn't that something, eh? Well, everything has been weird tonight. Like I said, like my apps aren't working properly. Like, so who knows what's going on?
Oh, I'm freaking now. My
Don't
whole
freak.
presentation may be gone.
Well, you can only do what you can do. Just take your time.
What in the heck?
Looks like we have someone in the comments already that's going to be trouble.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh crap, where did it go? Okay, I think I found it. Whew. Yay.
Hi, Marie. Hi, Eric. Hi, everyone in the chat.
All right, let me start back there. I don't know how that happened. I've never had that happen before. It just went blank.
Oh, you did good.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Now my heart was dropped. I was like, oh, don't tell me my whole presentation is gone. I've been having a lot of trouble with files and folders and stuff, people, and I've been doing this for years and never had this much trouble. But tonight we're going to talk about, do you know the truth, or will Jesus say to you, I never knew you? And there was a video that I came across about 9 years ago, and it made my heart just literally sink. I was like, oh my gosh, because I never had paid attention to that verse before, and it just brought it to the forefront in my mind. And I'm like, what would you do if you got to the point, and he actually said those words to you when it's too late, Well, this is the actual verse. It's Matthew 7:14. It says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth to life. No, this is another one. I'm sorry. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth to life, and few there be who find it. And that verse stuck in my mind too. It's like, oh my gosh, it's easy. Look at that crowd. That is a group of believers at this stadium looking event. And it's like you think everybody in that room is saved. Are they really saved, or are they not saved? If you find it, then can that possibly be that we have billions upon billions of Christians that are going to be saved? Or believers. I don't even call myself a Christian anymore after learning about the Christ word. I call myself a believer, in Jesus Barabbas, what I tell people when they ask me. But that just made a big impression on me. Between the two verses about, he said, he'll tell you that he never knew you. And this verse, it was like, something's wrong with this picture that we're seeing in the world today, Well, we're going to hear from Miss Claudia in Australia tonight. This lady she's a champion to come out with her, with the video that she did. And I'm going to play it for you. Let's see. If it didn't disappear, hopefully it didn't disappear. All right. I'm going to blow it up some. There's not really anything to see. It's more about what you hear. And I'm going to have to switch off of the headphones. And that, y'all have to tell me in chat if you can hear the volume or not when I turn it on. But if you want to see this, Michael Christwell has the original. It's on YouTube. And it's called The Shocking Day Jesus Told Me He Didn't Know Me. And this is he posted this 9 years ago. And I don't agree with everything he said in the video, but I'm just going to play you the segment where Claudia from Australia is talking about when she had a near-death experience and she got to see Jesus and what Jesus told her. And if you listen to her story real carefully, it's amazing. Okay, I'm going to switch mics and see if I can get this to work.
Very likely, based upon the fact that I'm making this observation now, that they would hear those words in Matthew 7:21. So I beg of you, pay attention to this.
Okay, well, I basically grew up as a non-practicing Catholic. Go to weddings and funerals and stuff like that, but we really didn't go. Occasionally we go for Christmas or Easter, but it wasn't, a done thing in my family. My dad always used to say God's everywhere and, you don't have to go into these buildings I thought he knew what he was talking about until I found out myself. It's true that God is everywhere, but yeah, I found out so much more. I remember when I was getting confirmed, I was having my class, Sunday classes before our confirmation, and I remember questioning my teacher. She was spirit-filled, which I didn't even know what that meant, but at the time, and I asked her why we had to pray to Mary when Jesus was the one that died for us. So that was the beginning of me questioning and wanting to know God. I was really analytical about everything. There had to be a reason for everything. Yeah, basically had to be a reason for everything, how things functioned and everything. Anyway, but that got shattered when I had the accident. My filing cabinet in my head went and got scrambled. So, yeah, it was a bit of a mess up. When I was 13 going on 14, which is my daughter's age now, I was gang raped by 4 guys, and that was a massive, like absolutely massive thing that happened in my life. And gosh, I think like I was praying to God, but I think I used to pray the Our Father more than the Hail Mary. To me, it didn't mean much. But I used to repeat the Our Father until I actually said every word meaning it, like, you know, not just rattling it out like my daughter does now. But I think after the rape, I just really, like, I called out to him so much at that moment. That was the beginning of me really spending a lot of time with talking to him and calling out to him. And 4 months before my accident, now this is pretty significant, I think, my uncle, he died of cancer suddenly from lung cancer. I lived with him and my auntie for 4.5 years after high school. Anyway, in the meantime, he passed away. And so I was absolutely shattered because he was like a second father, I suppose. And he said to me, before Christmas 1985, around in December, he died, we buried him in November. In December before Christmas, in a dream, he said to me, "Don't drive, I'll drive for you." And I thought, yeah, that's for sure. How can you drive? I didn't understand the meaning of that. And then I just had a feeling it was a pretty big accident, but I didn't sort of think much about it. After the dream, Good Friday, not Good Friday, Christmas Eve, 1985, I had a car accident. Yeah, Canberra, Australia. Yeah, basically I could see a car coming towards me, but it was on my lane. And when I knew we were about to hit, I just called out to the Lord with all my might and just in a way sort of let go of the steering wheel and said, "Okay, Lord, you take over. Save me and heal me, and I'll serve you in any way, Lord. Just save me and heal me." And at that moment, like we were about to hit, there was no way out of it. I know for a fact it was God, but you know, people sort of say, "Oh yeah, well, you know," but anyway, my tyres went onto the mud because it was raining, and I ended up spinning, and with the mud I got faster, and then I hit the tree stump, and I was knocked unconscious. I was critical for 12 weeks. Like, the machine was keeping me going, and they were saying to Mum and Dad, you know, shall we keep this going, you know? And so thanks to God caring for me, I was looked after. God saved me also from them turning the machines off, I suppose. And this is where I got to go back. I was taken to Bateman's Bay, back and to the hospital there and cleaned up and everything, and I couldn't go in the helicopter because of a head injury, so they took me in the car to Canberra, which is 2 hours away. And I remember someone saying to me, "We're almost here, we've got one more set of traffic lights, just hold on there, Claudia." And I was just thinking, please, I can't hold on anymore, just keep going. And I remember when they were pulling me out, I could see myself from above. I mean, my spirit had left my body, and I could see everything happening, and I thought, well, no, I'm going, that's it, I'm gone. And so, because I used to question life and think, you know, why there's so much cruelty and all this stuff. And so, yeah, I was just off, and I actually saw for a few seconds to the left, I could see like hell. I heard, I could hear voices, and it was like I could see them, but I couldn't see a figure, you know. I could see them, but I couldn't see them. And I could hear screaming like nothing else. The screaming you'd never want to hear. It's just the most revolting, horrible feel. Screaming of them being on fire, burning. I remember them like burning, and I thought, I'm not going there. And I saw the light. I saw the light of heaven. And that's where I thought, I'm going, and I didn't want to see that anymore. It was like a few seconds, but I didn't want to hear or see any more of it. And off I went. And on the way, I saw my uncle that died a few months before, and he was talking to me, and all I wanted to do was get to that light. And anyway, I got there. I obviously couldn't enter because it wasn't my time, but I actually said, why? I don't want to go back. And I remember I knew it was God. I knew it was God. Or Jesus. I just knew. I just knew it was him. I knew that he wasn't going to let me in, and well, he said to me, I don't know you, and that knocked me out. I just thought, what? Of course you know me. I've prayed to you all my life. I've loved you all my life. I've, tried to be good all my life because that's what I was told. And he said, I don't know you. And then I remember him talking to me, but I just remember him saying to me, find me. And I had more work to do or something. And I thought, what? I didn't understand him. And when I woke up, and I thought, oh, I'm still here, I remembered him saying I had to find him. And I thought, what do you mean find him? I've prayed to him all my life. Of course I know him. I didn't understand at that stage. So to me, that's pretty significant. I said, Lord, I don't want these wishy-washy churches trying to tell me that they know, because you're the only one that really can tell me, the way to heaven. I want to know the truth. I want to know how to get to heaven. I want to know I know that you being God, can show me somehow, I don't know how, but you can show me for yourself how, or reveal to me how to find heaven, how to find you, how to find the truth. I want to know the truth of you.
Oh, that always makes me cry. Let's see if y'all can hear me now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, that video always makes me cry. It's like, because this is exactly what we've been trying to tell everybody. I guess that's still hooked up. I guess it's all right. We're not getting echo, are we?
No,
Are we
it's
getting
good.
Okay.
It's good.
But the video always makes me cry. It's like, because that's what I've been trying to tell everybody. It's like, they don't know him. They don't know Father, and they don't know him. And it's like, the big clue, I think, to this whole verse is right within this chapter of Matthew. It's Matthew 7, and if you haven't studied it out, study every little word of it, because this is the most important thing that we can do. This is our hope, and it's our salvation, and it's what's going to get us home, is to really know him and know the Father. And I know this lady's story is true. The reason I know it is because did you hear that confusion in her voice when she said, I knew it was God, or it was Jesus, or, because that's how I felt when I had that encounter. It was like, oh God, this is God. This is real. Is this Jesus or is this Father? Is it? My brain kept going back and forth. It was like, I knew who it was, but I didn't know. It was like, and the way he talked to me was similar to the way he talked to her. It was like, because he just was like in my head going, you have to change. You have to change. And I was like, I got it. And then my whole life flashed before you. And I didn't have a near death. I was conscious, alert, in my studio painting when this happened. And it's like, when I heard her story, it was shortly after I had my encounter. And I think it was just divine providence that I was supposed to hear her story, because I just knew in my heart it was real, what she was saying from my encounter. And I kept trying to think in my mind a way to show y'all. I mean, I think this prayer for the truth, like she said, that I just want to know how to get back to you. I want to know. It's like, once you have an encounter like that with him, it's like, you can't. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I gotta wipe my eyes again. You can't describe it. You just do anything. It doesn't matter what it is, just to get back with him. It's like the love that pours out from him is just, it's just like something having my baby was nothing compared to being in his presence. And I couldn't see him. People asked me, they said, could you see him? I couldn't see him. But he was in my head, and I knew he was in my living room, or in my studio, which was my living room and studio. And I was painting, and I was like, that's him. It's him. And I couldn't believe he was there. And it was in the midst of all my debauchery of my life, which was pagan altars and junk all over the place. And I could not believe it. But she's kind of the same way. But I cannot even imagine if he just said, I don't know you. That would have it would have devastated my life. It would have just like threw me under a bus. And I think that's kind of, when you listen to her, you can hear the panic in her voice. It's like you can hear it, you know. But I wanted to show y'all what I think there is to see in Matthew 7 tonight about this verse. and why I think that this whole chapter is so important, and how it's kind of like a lifeline for us. And the reason that he put those words in there was because we don't want to hear, I never knew you. I think that people can do all kinds of good things. I saw people healed in Wiccan circles. They did healing ceremonies with crystals and all this stuff, where they lay hands and they do all that stuff just like they do in the churches. And I actually saw people actually get healed. I saw a diabetic healed of their diabetes. But they don't know the one person that can get them, or the being. I can't really even call him person. He's Father. He's God. They don't know the one that can get them through that door, to the other side. Because no matter if, the bombs start falling tonight and we're all gone, it's like, if you don't know him, you won't make it in there. You're not going to get in. Now, I don't know where you go. I don't know if it's just to, avoid where you don't have Father around. I don't know what it is, but I do know that there's only one way to get there, and that's Jesus. And his real name is Jesus Bar Abba. I firmly believe that. I'm going to try to quit crying now and share the rest of this stuff with you. This video always tears me up. I shouldn't even watch it. But I put that car on there because, bless that woman, I'm just glad she put that video online. I mean, it's really a blessing for people to be able to hear that, And her name is Claudia from Australia. We should all pray for her, because I hope that when she started praying for the truth, she got the spirit of truth from him, and he helped her see what we see today. Because I know a lot of y'all have already seen the truth, but we got to share it so other people don't hear those words. Because I can't think of anything more devastating than to go through life and then hear those words at the end of this life, And this is a message from him too, John 5:25. And amen can mean at the end. They don't talk much about that, but it literally can mean at the end. And it says, at the end, I say to you, the hour is coming and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear it will live. And that's like, we're going to, the ones that are supposed to hear will hear his voice in these scriptures, and they will know the real Father. They will know that he's the real Father and that he's waiting there for us. Okay. It's like in 5:24, he says, truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. There ain't going to be no waiting around in the bottom of the dirt until the last day of the earth. You're going to pass directly from death to life. And that's why people see him immediately. When you hear all these near deaths, they're not laying around in some coffin waking up scared to death in the middle of, 6 feet under. They're literally, with him, either being told they're going in or they're not. He's the only way. He's the only door and gate we have to get there. He's the way, the truth, and the life. And no man comes to the Father except by him. Now, this Matthew has a lot of things in it. The first line is, judge not, that you not be judged. And then it's also in Luke 6:37, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. And it's like, this is a total polar opposite from the Old Testament. Because Yahweh in the Old Testament tells people to judge. And it, like Exodus 18:13, the next day Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning till evening. They were being judged. Then Leviticus 19:15, you shall do no injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. And he says, don't judge at all. And we all make judgment calls. We make, what I call judgment calls. It's like, we are aware when somebody's like doing drugs or doing something they shouldn't be, and we try to avoid those things, and we try to bring them back to the truth. But he's talking about judging them, like, oh, they're horrible. You can't do that. Or if somebody hurts you or something, and you know it's just human nature. It's like your families can hurt you, your siblings as you get older, even mine. It's like they went through a whole court mess with me. They stole my inheritance and everything, and it's real hard not to want to judge them and stuff for what they did. But I just had to forgive them and walk on. That's all we can do. When somebody wrongs you, even if they don't even ask for forgiveness, I go ahead and forgive them anyway. And I hope they do the same for me if I hurt somebody, because we all hurt people. We don't want to, we don't mean to, but we do. Okay. It goes on in the second verse, after judge not, that ye not be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and what measure you meter, you shall be measured to you again. And why, behold thy mote that is in thy brother's eye, and consider not the beam in thy own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote of thine eye, and behold a beam that's in thine eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam that's in your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to cast out the mote that's in your brother's. Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye pearls before swine, lest they trample on them under your feet, and turn again and rend you. Now I have a feeling about this, that some of this may have been added to his words, because I don't see him doing the cast your pearls before swine and all that, or talking about people as dogs, unless he meant the Romans, because the Romans were known as dogs, and that was not a bad thing for them because of the Romulus and Remus thing. I thought about that when he calls that woman the dog in the other verse, because I'm like, that was either the Christ one, or either it was him talking to a Roman, because they called each other dogs. I had to look that up because I was trying to figure out why that was used. But when we look at Exodus 2:12, this is what he's talking about. This is Moses. He's like, and he looked this way and that, and when he saw it, there was no man. He slew the Egyptian and hid in the sand. So he looked around to make sure nobody was watching, and then he unalived a man. And when he went down the second day, behold, two of the men of the Hebrews strove together, and said to him what he did, that he did wrong, and wherefore thou smitest thou thy fellow? And he said to them, who made you the prince and the judge over us? Intends you to unalive as thou unalived the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. So Moses himself, who sat as a judge, had unalived a man and already committed a wrong. And I think that's part of what he was trying to get them to see, because these were stories that they had heard when he was talking. Okay. And then Leviticus 19:15 through 16. You shall do no injustice or judgment. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but you are to judge your neighbor fairly. You shall go about as a slander among your people, and you are not to act against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. But all in the Old Testament, there are incidents of people judging each other. And I think that he was trying to show us the nature of the true Father, that we are not to judge others. It's like they were taught the wrong things just like we were. They were taught that the Old Testament was the Father, and he was coming telling them something totally new. He tells us in Matthew that also in that same chapter, that if we ask, it will be given to us. If we seek, and we will find it. And if we knock, the door is going to be open to us. So if we ask, seek, and knock for these things, we will get to see it, Jesus is much more than a prophet, Montes. Here's another one. He goes on in verse 7, and that's the one I just read to you basically. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it'll be open to you. For everyone that asks receives, and seeks that finds, and to him and that knocks it shall be open. Or what man is there of you whom if a son ask for bread he would give him a stone? Or if he asked for a fish would give him a serpent? If thee then, being evil, know how to give good foods unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good things to them that ask him? Okay, when we go down, and the other one, verse 9, I don't know why that said man. This must be the version I'm in, but it says, what father would give his son a stone when he asked for a piece of bread? And when you look at Numbers, you can tell, when you look at Numbers 11, that he's going back to that story of them in the wilderness. Because the manna was literally, it was the consistency of coriander seeds and the color of bedium, and it had to be ground in the mills and in a mortar. And that's a pretty big thing because it was like rocks. They literally had to grind it up. And I'll read this passage for you. It's from verse 2 to 10. And the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burns among them. And in the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again. Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, and the cucumbers, and the melons, and the leeks, and the onions, and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away, nothing at all, besides this manna before our eyes. And the color therefore was the color of bedium. And the people went about and gathered it, and ground it in the mills, and beat it with a mortar, and baked it in the pans, and made cakes of it, and the taste of it was like the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp at night, the manna fell upon it. And Moses heard the people weep throughout the families, every man at his door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly, and Moses was very displeased. Was displeased. So both the Lord and Moses were displeased, but these people were having to pick up literally look like rocks, grind it into powder, and make bread out of it. And I never knew it was like that until I started looking into this. And what is manna? This surprised me. Manna is man. They say it's the bread from heaven, and it means what is it? But it's spelled man, M-A-N. And it's spelled man also in the Strongs. They have it the same. And then when I went and looked at the Latin, it's also spelled man. So that's kind of weird right there. And when we get to John 6, in John 6, Jesus tells them that he is the real bread of life, and that Moses did not give them the manna from heaven, that he is the manna from heaven. So this gets pretty something to really think about when you really start thinking about it. And we see this with Paul too. I'm going to show you Paul first. In 1 Corinthians 10:16 through 17, Paul writes, "The cup of a blessing which we bless is not the participation of the blood of Christ? The bread that we break, is it not the participation of the body of Christ? Because there is one bread, we who are many are one body, for we partake of one bread." So he's calling it the real body and blood of Christ. That we know the Christ one is not the real Jesus. It's like, and if y'all haven't watched any of my videos on that, you need to go back to YouTube and watch them. It's under Scriptural Truth. Because there are two different Jesuses in the text. And I think that's why Paul said you had to rightly divide the word. Some things Paul has some things I don't really care for, and some things that I think he was telling the truth on. And I think the dividing the word is one he told the truth on. And it says, how could we be sharing the body and blood of Christ unless the body and blood were present? Now Paul underscores the truth, the subsequent verses, not part of the second reading, when he draws a parallel between the Eucharist and the pagan sacrifices. So he actually parallels it to let us know that that's what he's talking about. He also refers to the table of the Lord in verse 21 and implies that the real presence of Jesus is in the Eucharist. If the pagans offer a real victim, not symbolic, on the table of the demons, then how much more do Christians offer a real victim, the Christ, on the table of the Lord? So Paul believes that the Eucharist, the Jesus' body and the body, is really present. He does not believe that the Eucharist is merely symbolic. And if we read in 1 Corinthians 10, 20 through 22, you can see that. It says, but I say to you, the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to God. And I would not have that ye should have fellowship with the devils. You cannot drink of the cup of the Lord, and drink of the cup of devils. You cannot partake of the Lord's table and the table of devils. Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? If by communion with demons in the pagan sacrifices implies that demons are really present, then communing with the body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist implies that his body and blood are really present. And I think that's why Jesus told us in Matthew 24, where the body is, there the vultures will be. He was talking about, because soma in Greek can mean either a dead body or a live body. Either one. I mean, unalive, sorry, TicTok. And you go on, and we're going to flip back and forth a little bit. Matthew 7, verse 12, this is more in that same chapter I'm telling you about. Therefore, all things whatsoever that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. That is what Jesus tells us the law and prophets is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Enter ye at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go into this threat. Because the strait gate, the narrow, the way that leads unto life, and few there be that find it. Well, he's telling us a whole lot right there, because Yahweh literally means destruction as a noun, and he will destroy as a verb. It comes from the root word in all Hebrew is a root word language, hava, and which means ruin, destroy, calamity, mischief, or perverse thing. It has a yod in front of that root word, and when you have a yod in front of a word in Hebrew, it becomes a verb and means he will or they will. So it means he will destroy as a verb, and if you say it as a noun, destruction. And if you want to check me on that, you can go to Abram Publishing. They're a Hebrew publishing place online, and they have this in their notes on Yahweh's name. We have the root word in the actual text of the Bible itself too, if you want to look at that. It's found in 3 places. It's found in Isaiah 47:11. It's found in Ezekiel 7:26 twice. And it says it means ruin or disaster. And they say how to charm away and disaster will fall. And the one in Ezekiel is disaster will come upon disaster. So you have it 3 times in the text, so you can actually do the verification to make sure that that's what that word means. Now this is where we get into John 6. And this I have to believe that part of this had to be added by the Catholic Church. I mean, it just makes no sense at all to me with the rest of what's in John. It says, in verse 22, I'm going to read that through 40. The day following, when the people which stood on the other side of the sea saw that there was none other boat there save the one wherein the disciples were entered, and that Jesus went not with the disciples unto the boat, his disciples were gone away alone. So John is telling us in that verse that this was not the same Jesus that fed all the people, because he didn't even go with the disciples. And I think this is a clue that speaks to there being two of them. Then verse 23 was added in most of the manuscripts, and it says, "Howbeit there are other boats from Tiberias nigh unto the place where they did eat bread, after that the Lord had given thanks." Okay, and that verse, like I said, is in parentheses and it's not in all of them. Verse 24, "And when the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, neither the disciples, they took shipping and came to Capernaum, seeking for Jesus. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when camest thou hither?" So if this is one of the two Jesuses, this would be the one that was James the Just, because he was a high priest in the temple in first century. Because they called him Rabbi. Jesus answered them, saying, Verily, verily, I say unto you, you seek me, not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled. Labor not for meat which perishes, but for the meat which endures unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him hath God the Father sealed. Okay, so he's telling us the Son of Man is the one that has been sealed. And he said unto them, What shall we do that we might work the works of God? And Jesus answered him and said, This is the work of God, that you believe on him whom he has sent. And they said therefore unto him, What sign showest thou then, that we may see and believe thee, and what dost thou work? Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven, and gives life unto the world. And then they said unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. And then that doesn't really literally fit the rest of this narrative, though. But I said unto thee that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but to do the will of him that sent me. And this is the Father's will which hath sent me, that all of you which hath given me I should lose nothing, and should raise it up on the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which sees the Son and believes on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise them up on the last day. And he makes a big deal about the last day, too. And the other Jesus tells we pass directly from life to death. I mean, from unalivement to life, everlasting life. There's no waiting period. Let's see. Make sure I didn't skip a verse. No, I didn't. Okay. Verse 41, the Jews murmured at him because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said to him, Is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he said, I came down from heaven? Jesus therefore answered them and said, Murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up on the last day. Again, he gives this thing about the last day. It's written in the prophets, and they shall be taught of God. Every man therefore hath heard and hath learned of the Father comes to me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save which is of God. He hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say to you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the desert, and they are unalive. This is the bread which comes down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the bread of life which came down from heaven. If any man eat this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I give is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. And the Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, How can this man give us flesh to eat? And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I tell you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man, and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Also eateth my flesh, and drinks my blood, hath eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. Again, he says that. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinks my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. And as the living Father hath sent me, I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is the bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are unalive. He that eateth of my bread shall live forever. These things he said in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. That again, teaching in the synagogue tells me that this is JC. It's not Barabbas. And then Jesus said to them, Verily, verily, I say to you, except you eat this flesh. Okay, I already read that one. I copied over twice. And whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. For my flesh is indeed... Okay, I already read that part. I put it in there twice. I don't know why. Okay, when you get... This is strange now. When you get down to chapter 6, verse 66... It says, From that time many disciples went back and walked no more with him. Now, I thought it was ironic that they put that verse at 666. But then it said in 67, it says, And then Jesus said unto the 12, Will you also go away? And Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. And we believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And then Jesus answered them, Have I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil? He knew what he was doing. This was JC. He was setting up what we see in the Catholic Church. There are two of them. The real Barabbas did not do this mess. He would not have had us doing cannibalism. And this is how you can tell what happened. There's a Catholic Eucharist. It's like Catholicism and all the old churches, in a matter they believe of theology, they believe in what's transubstantiation. I can never say that word right. But what it is it's not a symbolic, it's not a piece of bread, and it's not a communal snack. It's the real body and the blood of Jesus is what they believe. That when the priest holds it up like that at the Mass and they ring the little bell, that it literally turns into the body and blood of Jesus. And I believe this is what the Christ person in them set up. And you can see how gross it is when you look at these pictures. It's like, see they're down below. I don't know, and that one on the right's kind of hard to see, but you can see they've got a cup down there and they're holding it to catch his blood so they can drink it. And then on the left, they got his heart with the thorns around it, and they got the cup underneath it with the blood dripping into the cup. I mean, this is how gross. If I'd have known all this when I was young and I became Catholic, and I'm not bashing on Catholics because I used to be Catholic, and there are a lot of good people in the Catholic Church, but this is some sick, twisted stuff, I'm telling you. And it's right there in your New Testament. That's why you know there's two of them. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Because one of them does not speak of these things. And this is St. Augustine in 357 AD to 430 AD said, Recognize in the bread that the same body that hung on the cross and in the chalice is the same blood that gushed from his side. They firmly believe that. And see that picture on the right is another one of their pictures with the blood gushing out of the heart of his heart flowing into the cup. But that's what I'm telling y'all. It's like we've got two different things going on, and one warning us, and one telling us the right way, and one telling us the wrong way. Okay. And this is that verse on the serpent, and the fish. It's like, because I wanted to show you where it says about the fish. It's in Numbers 11:4, and it's also in Numbers 21 about this stuff. It says that a mixed multitude was among them and fell in lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, "Who shall give us flesh to eat?" He said, and they said, "We remember the fish." Remember, I read this part, and the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. Again, they're talking about all the good things they had. And it says, "But now our soul is dried away, nothing at all, besides this manna before our eyes." That's all they had, was the manna before their eyes. And I think this is, Paul said it was a foreshadow of things to come. I think this is literally talking about the Catholic Church, and it was a futuristic thing going to happen in Numbers, because they literally have in that, there's like a big round disc thing, and they put the wafer in the middle after it's been changed, and people literally go in there for hours on end venerating and kneeling on their knees and praying to that wafer, because they believe it really is the actual body of Christ that's inside of that circle, in that little round thing, and it's gold. And that's what Solomon's 666 is, that gold round wafer of splendor. It literally means a golden round of bread when you read it in Hebrew. They don't tell us that either. They just said it's 666 talents of gold, but in Hebrew it's actually a golden round splendor of bread. And it delineates a time period for when this should all end, and it's been exactly since the veneration of the golden round splendor of bread has been on display in the Catholic Church to today. This year will be 666 years exactly. So that's no coincidence either. But he said in verse 10, "And he asked for a fish, would he send him a serpent?" Well, when you look at Numbers 21, that's what they did. And verse 5, "And the people spoke against God and against Moses. Therefore they brought us out of Egypt to die here in the wilderness. For there's no bread and there's no water, and our soul loatheth this light." And they've got bread, but there's another word in Hebrew. I can't remember what it is, but it's not really bread there. And then Yahweh gets mad, and it says in the next verse, "And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of them died, or unalived. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We've sinned, and we have spoken against the Lord, and against these we pray unto the Lord that he will take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said, Let's make a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, and it will come to pass that every one that is bitten, when they look at it upon, they shall live. So Moses made the serpent of brass and put it upon the pole, and it came to pass that when somebody had been bitten by one of the serpents, if they looked on that brass serpent, they lived. Now, this is why I'm kind of dubious that maybe the Old Testament is actually newer than the New Testament, because the manuscripts are older in the New Testament than they are in the Old. Because this is exactly what we see happening when the Catholic Church set up the church. They put Jesus, and Jesus said that they would put him up on a pole. He even mentions Moses. It's like they set him up front. Everybody that venerates that image and that icon and eats his body and blood is going to be saved, is what they tell him. But that's not Barabbas. That's not the real one. But they sure bring people in, because it happened to me, and I was 21 when I joined that church, and I'm just like, I cannot believe. I mean, I've been studying over 10 years before I could figure this out. It's crazy. Okay, and then in verse 15 and 16 it says, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, and inwardly are ravenous wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?" And he's given us a lot of clues here because I believe he was speaking of Moses, and I believe that he was speaking of Paul, both of them. Luke even has the same thing. He has, "For every tree is known by its own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor the bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth that which is evil. For of abundance of the heart does the mouth speak." Okay? And it's like in Exodus 3:2. We have and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, is what we have in English. But when you look at that word for bush, it is a senna, and a senna is a thorn bush. So Moses was at a bush that was burning, that was a thorn bush. And he looked and beheld the bush burned with fire, and the thorn bush was not consumed. So it's literally, he's going back, he's taking us back to the thorn bush. Now, if we were Hebrew and we were reading in Hebrew, we would see this automatically, but because we're reading in English and they removed the word thorn, it's a lot harder to see this. Okay, and there it is in the, it's like, "And the messenger of Yahweh appeared to him in the flame of fire from the midst of the thorn bush, and he looked and saw the thorn bush burning with fire, and the bush was not consumed." And he says also in Luke, "For every tree that is known by its fruit, of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of bramble bushes," which is another type of thorn bush, "gather they grapes. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprang up, and it choked them out." So the thorn stuff will choke you out. And we know, guess who had a thorn in his side? Paul, in 2 Corinthians 12:7. "Unless I be exalted above measure, though the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure." I'm not sure if that's the same chapter, too. I didn't even notice that. Let me look back. No, it's not the same chapter as the other one. I said that'd be ironic if it was. So we know there we've got Paul has got the thorn from Satan. And by the way, if you're reading that in Exodus 3:2, it says the messenger of Yahweh. That literally means the angel Yahweh. There is no "of thee" in that sentence in Hebrew. I think that Yahweh was literally the angel. And when you read 2 Samuel 22, I believe that's recording when he fell from heaven. It said he bent heaven and was cast down and made to go on foot. When you read it in Hebrew, it sounds a lot worse than it does in English. And then we get down to, let's see. We get down to verse 17, and we got another warning. "Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree bringeth forth good fruit is hewed and cut down and cast into the fire, that bringeth not good fruit. Therefore, by the fruits you'll know them." Okay? Well, when you look at Genesis 2:7, you've got the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, knowledge is the fruit that tree's given off. It's given off evil and good off of one tree. And Jesus is telling us that can't be. It's like he warns us you have to really be listening to him when he's saying these things, because he's telling us so much. And we got the same thing in Luke 6:43 and 44. For a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither does a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, or of the bramble bush gather they grapes. So he's also taking us back in that same verse to the thorn bush again. And I know these people had to know what he was talking about. Slow down and read oh yeah, we do have to slow down and read, and really read with understanding, not just read. It's like sometimes I'll go all day long thinking on one thing, and people know me, that know me real well, know I'll work on one verse all day, and I'll compare it to this, that, and the other, and just try to make sure I've got it 100% right. Especially when I'm doing the translations, I get really nervous because I don't want to do anything to upset Father. I want it to be exactly right. Okay. And then we get down to 21, and he said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. And you're going, what? It's like, not everybody says Lord, Lord. Everybody says Lord, And it's like, when you look in the Septuagint, the word they use for Lord is Kyrios, and it's translated 7,000 times as the Lord, Lord, like Yahweh in the Old Testament in the Greek Septuagint. So the intent probably of this verse was for it to be Yahweh. Not everybody that says Kyrios, Kyrios, or Yahweh, Yahweh will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So he's telling a whole lot right there. That makes my head hurt. That's why I've got that funny picture on there. There it is again. And then we have, goes on in verse 22. On that day, many will say to me, Kyrios, Kyrios, or Yahweh, Yahweh, or Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Notice that's one time he says in your name. Cast out demons in your name. Second time he says in your name. And do many mighty works in your name. Third time he says in your name. So he's drawing attention twice to the name Lord or Yahweh, and he's drawing attention 3 times to the mention of in your name. So he's really he's stepping it up there. I mean, he's really trying to get you to look at it real careful. And when you look at Genesis 3:8, if you read it in the Greek Septuagint, and they heard the voice of Kyrios walking in the garden in the cool of the day. So there's it's 7,000 times that it's Yahweh's name they call Kyrios in the Greek Septuagint. And he tells us in John 16:2 and 3, they shall put you out of the synagogue, yea, the time cometh when whoever unalives you will think they're doing God's service. And those things that they will do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. They don't know him. They will unalive us because they don't know him. Because they're not worshiping the same Father. He says in Matthew 23:9, call no man on earth your father, for one is your Father, and he is in heaven. He lets us know so many times. He said, I come in my Father's name. When another comes in his own name, you'll receive him. And that's what we did. We did exactly what he warned that we would do. And he says, then when it gets down to 24, therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, And doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, who built his house upon a rock, and the rain descended, floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one who heareth my sayings of mine, and doth them not, shall be likened unto the foolish man, who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, the wind blew and beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine. For he taught them as one having authority, not as the scribes. But I think this whole book, this whole chapter 7, is geared toward getting us to see the difference between the Father they had been taught and the one that he was teaching. And I think that's where this Lord, Lord came in at. It's like, when he mentioned that 3 times, in my name, in my name, in my name, but they're calling him Lord, Lord, I knew, my heart just sank. I was like, that's why he's going to say he doesn't know them. Because they don't know the Father. I hope this made sense to y'all. I think that's the last slide. I just went through that one chapter, and then I drew in the stuff about the Catholic Church because I thought that was important to bring in there too, because I think that's where the deception lay with the Christ word, was this causing the ritualistic sacrifice of it's like they sacrifice Jesus over and over and over, but they call him the Christ one. They're not worshiping the right one. So, like I said, that's complicated, but I have videos on it. If you want to see how I show that and everything, I would go to my YouTube channel on Scriptural Truth and watch them. And I'm not saying I know everything. I don't know everything. There's a lot of things I don't know. But I know that what we found with the 2 Jesus, I know it's real. And I know that Yahweh is not the Father, the real Father. Our Father loves us, and He's not going to do cruel things to us.
When you brought up that point about the Lord, Lord,
Uh-huh.
not all who say to me, Lord, Lord, is gonna make it, and he'll say, I never knew you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking that, like, that's true. They're gonna be calling him the wrong name, and he's gonna be like, I don't know you. But he said not everyone. So I think that he's implying that there's a few people, like your friend that's a Christian, but she's very nice and sweet. There's a few people that's in these other religions who may call him the wrong name, but their works.
Yeah, he does say it that way, not everyone. Yeah. I like the way he worded that, because it does mean not everyone, but I think it's real important still that we try to reach them with the real one,
Yeah. And then he says, even after he says, but those who do the will of my Father, right? So that's what I think. Like that lady that's a Christian, she's doing his will, and he's still gonna let her in. He's gonna still say I knew you, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't. Study though. Definitely, we definitely should be seeking. You did bring up something else at the end, and it inspired me to say something, but I forgot it already.
I try to remember it, because you always come up with things that are valid and that need to be said.
Dang, I hope I do. I'm trying to re-jog it. Until then,
that
does
was
anybody?
really good. Yeah, that was really good.
That was
I'll have to rewatch it again tomorrow.
I hope I showed it in a way that made sense, because I was trying to relate it all, like show how it related to what we're going through,
Yeah.
Anybody want to come up? Anybody have any questions? There was I thought there was a question there. Well, I'm going to say this one here from Faye. She wanted to know how we know that was Yahweh that was in that scripture. And I just told her or she wanted to know if they, how we knew that it wasn't Yahweh's name that was inserted in there or whatever. And I said we have to go by the character as well. Like, I can't find it now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sally's telling you about Abba's daughter, Ivy. Did he warn us about Yahweh? That's a pretty good one to start with. That or just like one of the short ones on the parables and how to compare him, how he's comparing the Old Testament to the New.
I think it's easier I think if people can grasp that Yahweh is not the Father, if they can see that, I think it's easier to see that because there's so many things that we can point out, when you show the character of Yahweh in the Old Testament versus the character of Jesus. So I think if people can accept that, I think it's easier to transition into the two Jesuses from there,
Yeah.
because you're pointing out the character of both, so like if they can clearly see the character of the Old Testament Yahweh is not good, then it's easy to move into then you can start sharing Jesus's words, and really see the contrast.
Yeah, I think so too. Does anybody want to come up or got any questions? I mean, I don't have all the answers. I'm just sharing what I think that I've seen in this.
Yeah, no, it was well put together.
There were a few people in the beginning who requested to come up, and now they're not with us anymore.
I hate that happens every time. It's like,
Maybe come back.
That's why I always say we'll let people up, once your presentation is finished, to answer questions. But
Stephen was one of the ones that
he
wanted to
was
come
up
up.
too, and then he dropped real quick. So.
yeah, he probably saw that message to wait till after the thing.
Oh,
Because I let him come on up because he's talked before up here. He's okay.
yeah, no, I wasn't trying to be rude. So, Stephen, if you're there, come back and come up and talk to us.
I don't even see him in there right now.
Yeah.
You can blame it all on me.
I think you must feel better, Tim. You even sound better.
Yeah, you're laughing again. You weren't laughing for a minute, so it's good to hear you laugh, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, I am feeling better. Yep.
That's good.
Your computer's not, though.
I know, but I got my old phone booted up, and I'm already
did
on
you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Awesome. That's great.
How is Ilana doing with her neck? Have we heard? I haven't heard anything from her in
She's
a
been
couple.
commenting. She's been commenting the last few days.
I hope she's doing all
I
right
think she has to
too.
take it easy, right?
Yeah, and Marie, I hope Marie's doing okay too.
Marie's here, I think.
She was having intestinal issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's something going around with that, Like I know if there's a few people.
It's probably the food. I think they're trying to unalive us with the food.
Yeah.
Water, right?
I think everything, the air, water, everything.
I found it fascinating in your presentation when you were showing some of that stuff, and you said this year it has been 666 years. Is that 2024 or 2025?
Yes, because that round bread of splendor in Solomon's, it's got the 666, and they've got it at 666 talents of gold. And it's not gold, it's a round loaf of bread of splendor, of golden splendor. It says golden splendor. And it says it's a division of time. And see, they set up that veneration of the wafer exactly 666 years ago.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the wafer is really a front then for like going behind the scenes kinds of stuff. Am I right? Like this is
I think they set it
body.
up as like a cannibalistic thing.
That's what I was talking about. And I just didn't say it. Yeah.
It's horrible.
When they give you the communion, they say body of Christ. When they hand you the bread for communion, gosh. Ugh.
But we all know that it's still going on behind the scenes, not, it's in the public now, so.
Well, in Matthew, he said they were given in marriage and marrying and eating and drinking, and the flood takes them away. I think that's the flood. I think it's
Well,
a
if you
spiritual
think,
flood.
I even wonder if it isn't a flood because, and I don't think it'll happen all at once. Like look at North Carolina. Like I think, and that isn't even the first place, and it won't be the last place because there's been all kinds of the floods going on in Italy and like all over. And you know how they say Yahweh will move the mountains?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think he's doing there? Moving mountains. He's washing them away.
Yeah, it does destroy them, man.
Hmm.
I look at those pictures and those are roads I go on all the time when I was working home health, and I'm like, wow, it don't even look the same.
No.
And they're still
Yep.
having problems. They're intense and winter's coming. The
Yeah, it's
Amish are up there
insane.
building houses, little tiny houses for them. And one of the guys that owns one of the big RV companies, he donated I don't know how many RVs, trying to get them out of tents before winter hits. You know, we're getting close to snow time here. So, and there it's a lot colder up there than it is where I'm at. I'm in the valley now. I'm down in Knoxville, and this is north of me, probably 75 miles. You know,
Yeah.
That's
Tim,
the
how's your
same.
weather? I was going to say, Tim, how's your weather? Because I was watching the weather and it was supposed to hit Tampa some kind of, I don't know, it's heavy, heavy rain anyway.
The weather's been it's been decent here. It's just been cloudy today, but
Okay.
if it did rain, I slept through it. But
Okay.
I did remember what I wanted to say.
oh
Okay.
good.
It, it's about when you were talking about how Jesus said, you know, you build your foundation on a rock, and then the winds came and the storms came. And I'm thinking that he's talking about that's him calling out Yahweh again because he's a storm god, isn't he?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he does everything with storms and fire.
Yeah. See, that's why I think he does that multiple times. Like when he says, "Go, sin no more, unless something befall you." Right? He's talking about someone else again, the same way he did in that verse, or in that passage, because because it's not like he's saying Father's gonna punish you. I think he's continuously saying the Punisher or the Judge or the whatever is gonna punish you. He's gonna get you.
Yep, that's a good point. I even have a bunch of slides on him being a storm deity.
Well, if there's nobody coming up and no questions, we can carry on, Tim.
Let's do it.
Okay, go for it.
The first one is a comment from Celine Wyman. Um, and she put comment first. Are we trying to read just the questions first or something or?
You read whatever you feel is pertinent, to anything you think that we need to say. No
Okay.
restrictions other than the bad
Yeah, I
stuff.
like reading the comments too. So people, even if you don't got questions, you can just put your input. Um,
Right.
Celine Wyman 1513 says, I'm in here listening to every conversation here on YouTube. All of you are helping me get through a difficult time. Thank you all for sharing your testimony and how Father was there to take away addiction. I prayed for Father to lead me out of horrible, destructive situations, and he has been removing me from something that was enslaving and destroying me. I've prayed and cried so many tears, and I can testify that he listens to us and loves us. We are definitely stuck in an underworld slash hell, but Father is with us.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And let's pray for Celine too to help her fully complete that
Yes.
journey. So we're praying
Yes, we
for you.
will.
Um,
Tag teaming?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Eric Cop F 6352. I have a question. I have noticed a lot of books that are apocryphal and Gnostics seem to be frowned on or scoffed at here. Didn't Jesus say many would be lost due to the lack of knowledge or gnosis? Upon reading Pistis Sophia, I think I'm saying that right, I'm not sure, I had a 35-year question I had answered. Why are Psalms called Psalms? Psalms are called Psalms because they are Pistis Sophia's alms to the Father as she was caught in the trappings of darkness. So why are Pistis Sophia's alms in the Bible, yet apparently no mention of her anywhere in Scripture? I knew the Old Testament was pretty much crap, thanks to Nine Narnia, but I didn't think the New Testament was as bad as it seemed to be. If the powers that be don't want us reading the apocryphal text, I think we should probably read them, using discernment, of course. So basically asking us why we sort of seem to frown on the Gnostic texts and the Apocrypha.
I'll give them my take on it. It's like I think the Dead Sea Scrolls are fakes. It's like the cave that those boys found the Dead Sea Scrolls in is way too high up a jagged thing for anybody to have thrown a rock and hit a jar inside. They would have had to have a throwing arm of the Bionic Man. And there was nothing for the sheep to eat out there. And every article you read about them says just like a Indiana Jones. They're on Vermilion, which was not for that time period. They're written on the wrong kind of paper for the time period. There were several problems I found with all that, and they were in a jillion pieces like confetti, all except for they say the Isaiah scroll, but yet they don't put the real Isaiah scroll on display at the museum. They have a copy and they say it's because it's too fragile. But if it's behind glass and not being touched, there's no reason why it shouldn't be on display. They sold $2 million worth of fakes to the Bible Museum in New York. Now, the Nag Hammadi text, I've read most of them, but I found way too much stuff that sounded like it came from Wicca and New Age stuff. And I take each writing individually and look at it, and if it doesn't line up with the red letter text we have in the New Testament, then I don't accept it. Plus, it's really strange that both of those things cropped up exactly right before they claimed Israel to be a nation in the Middle East. And I think they're rabbit holes to get people to go down, to get them confused. And that's my personal opinion. And like I said, if you do read them, be very, very careful. Make sure they line up with what Jesus said to us. And I think there's far too much work to be done on the actual red letter text as far as looking at the analysis of the Greek and going back to the oldest manuscripts we have and making sure they line up and the meanings are correct and everything, to even be venturing off into that until we know exactly what we have in the New Testament. That's my honest opinion. People are spending they could already know Greek and be looking at these things with me and figuring them out in the amount of time they're spent on all these extra things that we don't even know if they're real or not. So it's like,
Exactly.
and I'm sure there's plenty of things locked up in that bottom of the Vatican that would open our eyes a whole lot more, even probably, but it's like there's only so much time you're allotted in a lifetime, and I've spent the last 10 years studying nearly 7 days a week, sometimes up to 16 hours a day, and I can't even get through the New Testament text and the Old Testament text. So it's like there's a lot of stuff to study, and to me it's like going down a rabbit hole chase. Now I might be wrong, because I did read them in the English, and you don't have the Greek text to even look and see if they're accurate either, which is another irritating thing. So that's my 2 cents worth.
It's worth it.
Not
Your 2 cents is
everybody,
worth it.
not everybody will agree with me, I'm sure. But that's mine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we are.
I don't think Jesus ever said go seek knowledge. He said go seek truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big difference. I don't think I don't think you would be a moral father if you only revealed yourself to your smartest children.
I agree.
You know, I'm going to just piggyback off of this conversation while we're here because it kind of goes into what Cypress asked today, and I'll just do the first verse. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Tim, you said about knowledge and studying and stuff, and Second Timothy, which we know is Timothy was all about Paul, but I took his Second Timothy 2:15 that says, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly divide the word of truth." And we had a discussion about it today. We had about the whole thing, which I'm just going to mention this verse for now. But I had a problem with the whole study to show yourself approved unto God, and and not to be ashamed. Because first of all, Father doesn't really. He's not judgmental at all. So to show yourself approved, does it mean that, like if you don't study, you're not approved? Like, I'm not sure about that. But the ashamed thing, so that you're not ashamed, won't be ashamed, that sounds like a Yahweh judgmental thing. But I do think that it's more like study, rightly divide the word of truth, so that we know who he is and what's going on, because we already know that there's so many lies and insertions and deletions and mix and mingle in there. So, but I don't think it's a. What were you going to say,
Oh, go
Tim?
ahead. No, no, sorry. I didn't know you weren't done.
I'm done.
Well, Sally, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
And guess what? I
What?
think I forgot what I was going to say.
Hi,
We have
Joe.
a guest, we have a guest up now. Hi,
Hey,
Joel.
how you doing?
All right. How old are you, Joe?
I am 42.
Okay. All right. I just have to ask because I've got it set for 18 or above.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm at work right now. I'm delivering pizzas, but I just wanted to hop in real quick. Uh, a long time ago, I was told that Moses was a false prophet, and I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
I believe he was. Jesus referred to him as the accuser, in that one verse. And the word in Greek for accuser is categoros, and it specifically means the Satan. So I would say he probably was. And it
Yeah,
says in John that Moses gave the law, but Jesus gave the truth. So
yeah.
I believe he was.
And then another thing I wanted to say was, I believe the reason why he told people to turn their cheek, was because he didn't want you to develop hate in your heart for somebody.
That's a good comment.
It is, yeah.
Because I've thought about that too a lot of times. Like, why did he want us to turn the other cheek? When I was young, I was a little bit more hot-headed, and that was hard for me.
Because I mean, you got that's what I thought about it. Because if you don't turn the other cheek, you're gonna get that hatred for somebody.
Makes sense to me.
It does make sense. I think that's spot on.
I don't know. That's all that I was wanting to say. I don't have much time because I'm driving. I deliver pizzas and everything, so I would like to stay on longer, but I'm in between deliveries.
Well, it's good
Thanks
to
for
hear
joining
from you,
us. You can
Joe.
come back.
Yeah, come back anytime.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Take care,
Bye.
brother.
That was a great comment.
All right, is it my turn?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Let me see.
You're on your own stuff there, Tim. I don't even know what that comment means.
Dang it. Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
My elbow hit the phone. No, it's all right.
Oh no.
It says, Sally, congratulations on your recovery. We are so glad that you are with us today. I also cried out one evening 2 years ago. Um, Father, I beg you, please take the spirit of alcoholism away from me. I don't want to be an alcoholic. And by the next morning, when I woke up, the urge to drink alcohol completely left me.
That's
Before
incredible.
that, my drinking habit was really out of hand and I lost control with it. He absolutely does take these vices from us when we ask him earnestly. And I truly believe that I would not have been able to kick the habit without his intervention.
I agree with that a whole 100%, and I'm
Oh, that's
grateful.
awesome.
I am so glad to hear that story. He does he will do that if you earnestly seek him. That's another testimony right there.
Hmm.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. So I'll tag team the same person. To the person who mentioned that we should observe the Sabbath, there was a major problem with that because the calendar was changed multiple times, and the days of the week have been named after different deities, planets, and Caesar. If you were to actually attempt to observe Sabbath, then you would realize that the day generally moves up 1 to 2 days every month. It was to be calculated by following the first new moon on each month. If people really followed it this way, then they would see how the days move. The new moon in 2024, for example, in Israel, I should say, sorry, the new moons in 2024, for example, in Israel, are on these days, but they move every year and are not fixed. I have never met anyone who follows the Sabbath that have been marked by the new moons. He goes through the year and says, like, January the 11th is a Thursday, February the 10th is a Saturday, March the 10th is a Sunday, April the 8th is a Monday, May 8th is a Wednesday, June 6th is a Thursday, July 6th is a Saturday. So basically he's saying all these new moons, they fall on different days. So you'd have to, like, you go from Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to, different days of the week. So there'd be, anyway, that's what his,
Yeah, I used to follow that. Literally, like that is the reason why at first my schedule was 6 days a week and I only had the Sabbath off and it would change every month. And then you saw my old Instagram account and it's the moon phases.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I did follow stuff too, but I wasn't very good at calculating the calendar, and I was following like the Olive Branch Ministries or whatever you call them, and so I really didn't calculate them. I just, it was basically every Saturday. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Arcar. All right, my turn then, huh?
yeah,
Let's see.
yeah.
It says Joshua asks, "How can Yahweh be a she?" At 1 hour 57 minutes in. That's not a bad question. Has anyone looked into Yahweh as possibly being Yahweh or even Yahchava instead of Yahovah? That would lean toward female. Oh, there's a reply too. Oh,
By
it's him.
himself.
Yeah, I just looked this up, and the Havas listed from Hebrews 1933 1934 and Strongs are mostly prim or prime roots. I might be saying it wrong.
Prime roots. Yeah.
But Chava, Hebrews 2332, oh, hold on, I gotta hit read more, shows that it is from an unused word. I wonder if that is untrue and maybe it really is connected to Hava. The only difference that I see, looking at it quickly, is that it has the letter Chet in the front of it. The letter Chet is said to be symbolic of life, and Chava means Eve, slash life slash breath. I'll stop here because I think that this could be an interesting, albeit very long, rabbit hole.
I don't have a response for that.
I think the Holy Spirit is, or the Comforter, or the Helper is also described as a feminine noun as well. Uh, and it brings me back to Genesis 1 when he says he made them and he made them male and female. So he made spirits, and I think that the spirits were still male, female, while Yahweh made flesh and made them man and woman, possibly. But that's just a thought.
Anyone else got anything to say on that one?
I mean, if you look at the Baphomet, who's both male and female, and you look at the world and Hollywood and the politicians, and they're always referencing that statue, and that deity of both being man and woman, and it kind of plays along with this, the whole transgender thing that's going on now too, with everybody in Hollywood.
True. That it,
Yeah.
guys? Okay. This one's from Yanishmara. I'm probably saying that wrong. 8043. TikTok, which is Joshua that was here the other night. TikTok needs to please look again with clear eyes where Yah in the Old Testament, or where, I think it's where is Yah in the Old Testament? I'm not sure where Yah in the Old Testament states that all should worship him and obey. Otherwise, they'll be cursed. He wants to be like the Father, most creator, 100%, Yanix. I think what he's saying is because TikTok, the question was something about what does Satan, why does Satan want to prove something to the Father or something like that?
I mean, he wants
I'm not
worship.
sure.
Remember when I was asking,
Yeah.
I was trying to get TikTok to say, because I mean, Satan demands worship. Yahweh demands worship. That's what he wants more than anything. He wants to
Yeah.
be, he wants to be the Father. He wants to have the same authority and the same power as Father, and so he commands people to worship him.
Yeah, and it actually says that he wants him to work, like he wanted Jesus to worship him.
Mm-hmm.
And TikTok
and
denied that it was even said. He said, well, they didn't say that. He didn't want worship. Anyway, we do have a guest up there if you want to carry on with the guest, and then we'll come back
Hey,
to this.
100%. How are you?
How's it going? You okay?
Yeah, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm in my 40s.
Okay, I just have to ask because I've got it set for 18 and above.
Yeah. No, I just, I had something in my mind, but it's just gone out of my head now. So but I've been listening in anyway for about 20 minutes. So, if it comes back to me, I'll something that I was thinking of, but if it comes back to me, I'll unmute.
Okay, just stay there, and if it comes back, then you can let us know.
No
Okay?
worries. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Tim, your turn.
Let's see, from the same person. It says question 3. When in the John after resurrection was Barabbas Jesus the one at sea? Man, hold on. Whoa, wait. Dang.
What? You were right.
Okay. When in the John after resurrection was Barabbas Jesus the one at sea of Galilee? I guess he's saying. Did he? Oh my goodness. Did he say to Peter, John 3, do you love me? And Jesus say, feed my sheep. Do you all think? Question mark. That's been added to kind of? Question mark. I'm very lost, but I'm just reading it how it's going.
Yeah, it's hard.
Say JC forgave him? Question mark. Because that's what I was told. Exclamation mark. Appreciate all. Jesus blessing. X. That was the hardest thing to read ever.
It's
not
hard.
sure.
Some of them are hard.
I'm going to pull that up because, let's see if I can get it.
You said it wasn't that hard, Lynn. What?
No, I said some of them are really hard.
Oh, okay.
was about to say, man,
We were gonna have a fight, you and I. No,
you about to get detention.
I know.
Okay. Then they were fishing. In verse 3, it says, Simon Peter said unto them, I go a fishing. And they said unto him, also go with thee. And they went forth, and they entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when morning came, now come Jesus and stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. That's the first big clue there. Then Jesus said to them, Children, do you have any meat? And they answered, No. And he said, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and you shall find. And they cast it therefore, and now they were not even able to draw it in for the multitude of fish. Therefore the disciples whom Jesus loved said unto Peter, It is the Lord. And that's like saying it's Yahweh, because that's Kyrios. Now then Simon Peter's heard that it was the Lord, or Kyrios. He girded his fisher's coat, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but it were 200 cubits, and they were dragging the net with the fish. As soon as they had come to the land, they saw the fire with the coals there, and the fish laid thereon, and the bread. So that right there tells me that's JC, because the fish were already on the coals. It's like, that's
Is it
symbolic.
possible? Is it possible that it was actually Yahweh?
It could, yeah. I think
That
JC is sifted by Yahweh.
Yeah, but Yahweh was seen on the mountain with Moses. He was seen with different people. Is it possible that it was actually him sitting there? And I don't know. That just came to me. It was like, wow, that could have been Yahweh sitting there and not actually JC.
When you get down to verse 12, it says it again. It said, And Jesus said unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. Again, they're using Kyrios. And Jesus then come and took the bread and gave it to them, and the fish likewise. And it says that's the third time that he had shown himself to them after he had risen from the unalivement. And that's when he starts telling, Feed my sheep, and does the 3 lines. But I think that he was talking to JC, or the Lord, one of the two. Or JC sifted by the Lord, because I think he was sifting people.
Faye just asked, and I just want to clarify, Faye just asked in the comments, what do we mean by sifting?
I think that's how he gets around. I think he just like
Hops
possession.
into a body, or
yeah, like possession.
Yeah.
Because Jesus had told him at one point that he had desired to sift him.
Yeah.
He wanted to have him, and I think he did. I think that's why that Catholic Church got set up like that.
That makes sense. Okay, I'll carry on to the next one then. Same person said, Hi, artist, and all in the panel. Thanks for doing this, as I've had many questions about your revealing truth, Barabbas, Jesus. Question 1, when in the Bible it says, I am the narrow path, only way to the Father. So that's one thing he has a question about, or she, I'm not sure. What is narrow path in Greek? That's a question. And John 14:27 says, Peace I leave with you, may peace I give to you, not as the world gives you. Please could you show the Greek, and is this Barabbas Jesus? I am so grateful and appreciative of all you share of truth. Abba, bless.
Can I say real quick to Yana? I wasn't trying to make you feel bad by saying I couldn't read your comment and I couldn't understand it. I just realized how that could come off to you. English might not even be his or her first language. So
True. And I don't think you were doing that anyways. I find it difficult to read some because I think we all put things down. Like I even write things down funny when I'm typing or texting. So it's I just think sometimes it's hard to get into the person's mind and
yeah.
you know.
So sorry, Yana.
I think
I love it.
That word for narrow is chiblo, and it means to be crowded or to afflict a narrow place or suffer tribulations or trouble. That it's not going to be easy. It's a difficult way.
it's a difficult path.
Mm-hmm. And it is difficult.
It is. And then the other thing was John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you. May peace I give to you, not as the world gives you." Please, can you show the Greek? And is this Jesus Barabbas that says that? John 14:27.
At face value, I'm gonna jump out and say I think Barabbas.
It sure sounds like it.
I think you get
There's
a certain
nothing.
level of peace once you know
Yeah,
the
there's
truth.
nothing left in there that would say Yahweh or JC. It sounds like Barabbas to me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely Barabbas, and the peace is like a state of tranquility for your mind, exemption from the havocs of war. Like from to feel at peace even though everything around you might be messed up. It's Irene in sounds kind of like serene actually, without the
Yeah.
S. But it's the way that leads to peace, of the salvation of peace. Tranquil state for your soul. In other words, like feeling like everything's going to be okay, even though it's all bad.
Right.
Yep.
And I think we get that because of our beliefs. If we didn't have these beliefs and we saw everything going on around the world, we might feel anxious or depressed or a multitude of other things.
Most definitely. I would be absolutely out of my mind right now if I
Me too. Yeah.
didn't have this.
Exactly.
I mean, I was. That's how I got led here. I was out of my mind, a year ago
Yeah.
at this time. It was right before I learned this truth, and I was a little out of my mind, and I was down. I was depressed. I kept asking Father, like, what's going, what's the truth, and wasn't too long after I found this channel and found artists and y'all, so.
And you could even go to church, or I could, and you would still feel oppressed when you got back and tireder than when you went.
Absolutely.
And it was like, why am I feeling that way? It didn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I never enjoyed going to church. It did. It drained me for the whole day. I did not like Sundays at all because I felt obliged to go, even though I knew in my spirit I didn't want to. So.
Right. Okay, Tim, you're up.
This one's from Carla. Hold on. Nope, I'm saying that wrong already. Carl Cockwell, 2947. Did Jesus forever? See, why do I get the weird ones? Did Jesus forever? Did he come in a spaceship and leave in a spaceship?
I kind of liked this comment.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I get the gist of it, but then it's like I guess I'm just scanning it when I first read it,
Yeah.
and I don't realize
I'm going to give this one a go. I don't believe that our Father needs a spaceship. I don't think he needs a spaceship. I think he just appears.
I think he's more like Bewitched. He just twinkles his nose and then he appears somewhere,
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly. He does not need anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm being silly, but I agree.
Yeah. Now he's obviously not bewitched, but it's definitely, I know what your thoughts are. Exactly.
That was a silly joke. Yeah.
So anybody else commenting on that one or?
I don't think he needs a ship.
No, me neither. Okay, Steve B7U. This is just a comment, I think. No, it's a question. It says over 40 or positive comments, but only 20 something likes. Come on. I don't know why.
That reminds
Anyway,
me of Joe Swanson from Family Guy. Like I can tell
yeah,
he's, come on.
exactly.
All right. This one's from Faye. Artist, do you happen to know why this video isn't showing the transcript like all your other videos do? I
Yeah, I
really like
answered
to.
her on that one because
Oh, you did.
I don't know why it didn't do it. It just didn't. I uploaded it same I do
I
always.
I actually commented on it and the comment wouldn't go on. And I've had it happen before, but it's actually in your own settings. So you have to go to your own settings and press on the captions, and then you get the comments or you see it all come up. But
Oh,
it's not
okay.
on. Yeah, it's just something happened to her, obviously, that it got clicked off, and all she has to do is go to settings and captions and put it back on. So the next one is Carl Coxwell, 2947. Did Jesus come to? Oh, we did
That's
that
the
one. That's
same.
Faye. Sorry, I went back. I went backwards.
No, he
Kate,
asked again and he fixed it.
pardon?
He asked again and he fixed it. He commented again. I'm looking. There's both of them right there.
Oh, it's basically the same question though.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're back to Faye again. I am still listening back to this, and I think maybe the two different guests sometimes were confused as being the same person. I think TikTok Joshua was really trying to see things and sincerely asking questions. Personally, I got a lot out of this. Thanks, y'all, for the question and answer. And then you can carry on there, Tim.
Yeah, I'm skipping that one because it's just about background noise.
No, I wanted to address that actually when I saw that, because I want people to understand a few things, and I'm going to get into something after, but right now I just want people to understand we are not a professional setup. We all have lives. I have my husband sitting here. Sometimes he has a TV on. Sally has her dogs. We all have things in the background. Sometimes when people come on, we have to tell them to shut things off. Sometimes we can just hear the odd thing and we generally try to mute if we're not talking. So we do our best is what all I was going to say is, we understand that there is some noise. We do our best, but it's not a professional setup. Is that all right, guys?
I muted myself right before you said that we generally mute ourselves.
And then you couldn't find the mute button again. All right. So do you want me to read the next one? Quo Vadis. So many people babbling as self-appointed representatives of characters they read about in a book, whence they pick and choose what is convenient for them. An artist replied, "We have two separate Jesuses in the New Testament. That is why there is always arguments like over keeping the law, etc." Yeah, like it's always going to sound like we're picking and choosing, because what we're doing is we're actually seeing his character and we're pointing out which one is which, because we see the difference in most cases.
And I'd like to comment too, because somebody complained about the panel and that not being consistent. Like one person saying one thing, another person saying it. We are all on different levels of learning, and it's like one of us might not see things exactly the same as the other one, and that's okay too. We're not like I'm not an egghead scholar, and it's like we study hard, but it's like we will vary sometimes on what we think, and that's all right. I don't have a problem with that. And sometimes we might seem harsh when we're not really being harsh, and we don't mean to, but
Yeah.
it's like we're looking at the time and how many people got to come up and trying to make sure everybody gets a voice if they want it, because I want people to be heard too, and I want their questions to be answered live and from the comments. And I don't
you know,
screen out the negative. It's like
yeah.
very rarely, if somebody is just obnoxiously and starts using profanity or something, I'll probably screen them out. But or if they just keep spamming the channel, I will. But I rarely will delete a comment because I want everybody to be heard. You know.
I think what people don't understand, from our perspective and being up on a panel, especially like one the other night when you've got multiple people on firing stuff off, we're put on the spot right away, and we're trying to respond right away, and in hindsight, there are times that I have said something, and had I had more time to think about it, I might have answered it a little bit differently. So I hope that people will give us a little bit of, some grace, and that we are dedicated to getting this truth out, and we're doing the best that we can. We're not perfect. None of us are. We've all made mistakes, each and every one of us, but we are trying to show compassion and love and to give people a voice. And like artist just said, we can disagree on some things or maybe not have the same understanding, but we all have the same understanding of who our Father is, and we all, want to get that out. And that's the most important thing, is that we stand in unity on that, and spreading the
Yep.
truth of our Jesus Baraba. So
Exactly. Not
I
to
agree
mention
on
that
that.
we all have, lives. We all have like jobs, whether it's in the house or out of the house. We have, we're running the Discord. We've got, questions coming all the time. Artist is trying to do presentations, get things ready, and she's got comments in her comment box all the time, and phone calls, and just it's a very busy thing. We're trying our best to. So sometimes when we get on here, we come on at 7:00. We are pretty tired, but we're still trying our best to, stay calm, stay on topic, keep things rolling, satisfy people in the comments, questions. We're doing our best. So as Sally said, I hope you can give us some grace and kindness and love, knowing that we're doing our best. And
Like
we're
I
doing
left
this for you
today and went to
guys.
the doctor and came back, and there were 130 new messages on Discord. I'm like, voila! I
I
was
know
like,
that was Tim, myself, who else, and Tracy, that we're trying to figure out Cypress's questions that he had that I'll talk about later. So we were just going back and forth.
and y'all realize when I'm researching, sometimes I shut down on the forums and don't really look at them until the end of the day too. Like if I'm working
Yeah.
on something, I won't look at it till I get done with what I'm working on.
Yeah, it's
So,
too distracting and too much. You've got enough going on. So,
yep.
yeah. We'll skip. I don't know. I say skip that one. Go on to the next one, Tim. You there, Tim?
Can you hear me?
Or do you
Okay,
want me?
Rebecca says, I love you guys, but y'all aren't confirming a thing before you speak it. You do a lot of assumptions about the two Jesuses. Please test all things before you say it, or before you say I think. I brought that one up because what are we supposed to say to remain honest in a conversation that isn't planned? You know what I'm saying? We don't know what questions we're gonna get. But there's two ways to know everything, or there's two ways to always be right. I'm sorry, to either know everything or to only speak on what you know. So if we're speaking on something that we're not sure of, but people still want our opinions, it's within our best interest to say, I think this and I think that.
Yeah,
So, you know,
exactly. We're just using it like we're having a conversation. After artist's presentation, where she's showing her studied out topics. Everything beyond that is conversation, other than what she speaks and she shows on her screen. And so from there on, you get opinions, other than like things that we might know that's absolute truth of the things that we found out from the studying out. But otherwise, it's, we're just having a conversation. And truthfully, like artist always says, we aren't your teachers. you might learn here. We're trying to show you the stuff that Father has given her. And anything that we say that doesn't go along with your perception or opinion or whatever, agree to disagree, and then go study it out, and then come back and show us what you found. That's about all I can say about that.
And the two Jesus thing, we are searching back through the New Testament with these new eyes of now having this knowledge that there's two of them, and we're trying to discern, as Paul says, to rightly divide it, knowing who said what. And we go by the character of the Father because he said he did the works of the Father, and that the one from earth speaks of earthly things and the one from heaven speaks of heavenly things. So if it's a heavenly thing, we have to sit there and weigh in our mind if it's a verse we haven't really analyzed yet to make sure and try to tell you what an accurate thing. But when I say I think, that means, sometimes I haven't completely looked at this, and I'll even say I haven't analyzed that verse yet, but that's one I need to get to. Because it takes a lot of time to do this stuff. It doesn't just, it's like it takes a lot of time. But I just don't want y'all to think I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an authority on something when I haven't analyzed a verse. I won't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think we'll skip the questions that were under that, Tim, because I just went through and we basically just answered everything on that one.
Yeah.
So I'll go on to the next one.
Little floor, yeah.
Yeah. Did Father create the angels?
Yes.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would say yes.
They didn't make themselves, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, did you still want to come up?
Baby, come back.
Okay.
Little Floor says, 22-year-old, I commend you for searching for real truth and trying your very best to understand. You're wise. Not many people your age think about these things.
It's true. And we are glad. And just so everybody knows that was hearing the last live and the, what seemed like a argument or whatever. Joshua has joined our Discord. Nobody has any ill feelings. We're glad to have him. He's glad to be there. I'll go on to the next one. Little Floor 2975. If we have a father in a place somewhere other than here, do we have a mother too? Wouldn't there be the two? No. Not in heaven. We have a mother and a father here because we're humans, but in heaven, I don't know, guys. What do you say? I know that Jesus is a monogene.
Yeah, mono means one gene. It's like mono
Right.
gene. Mono is one in Greek. So I wouldn't think so. And it said he came from the bosom of the Father. That's why I think he's one with the Father and they're one in one thing.
Exactly. Like Father, like he's Father, and all the other creations that Father did are what he used, to do them. It's not, if it makes sense, it's not actually from himself like Jesus was, if that makes sense.
Jeez,
Not that he didn't create everything. Sorry, Tim.
Oh, no, I had cat issues over here. Sorry. Did anybody
Those
else
darn
want to
kids.
I know. I'm just trying not to get scratched, man. Let me see. Hold on. He also asked, Little Floor, same person, if Father is all love and no darkness and always forgive us when we do wrong, then why did he cast out some of his angels? Why did we get kidnapped in the first place? I don't think casting someone out is evil. If they don't want to be there, that's free will. They're saying they don't want to live in the place of only good. So he gave them
darkness can't reside with the light. So anything that's outside of darkness cannot be with the light.
That's what I was going to say too,
Yeah. As far as the kidnapping, how are we actually kidnapped? We're not given that. We're not told that.
I haven't found a place where it tells us how we ended up kidnapped.
Yeah, that would be speculation. So
I was just gonna say I speculate that in Genesis 2 could be it because I think he trapped that male and female spirit that was made in the image of the Father. I think that he trapped them in physical bodies
Could
in some
have.
kind of way.
I
that's
guess
a
we'll
good
find that one
speculation.
out eventually. You know?
Yeah. Okay, Elizabeth Flowers, RZ9BM. Probably Alexandra has a new video yesterday, and every time she said Jesus, it was followed by Christ. One thing about Paul teaching about fasting and getting rid of demons, no, in big letters. As someone who was anorexic and bulimic, I can tell you that fasting puts you in a trance and you will fight with everybody when you try to make it, when they try to make you eat. I had a dream last night and I was awake but couldn't move, and something invisible was holding an iPad in front of my face filming me, and I can see my face on it. Once I came out of it by saying Jesus over and over in my head, then I saw a car driving away with a license plate that said Turks. Just thought that was weird about the guy talking about Turkey. We have a computer-generated dream world Neo. Synchronicities that are happening are so bizarre. In the last video where you were talking about having your hair done and nails reminded me about a month ago. In my younger days, my dad put so much attention on physical appearance, and it really messed me up. So I was in Walmart, and this old lady was with bright red lipstick came up to me and said, "You have an outstanding face." I'm freaking 59 years old. And then artist said underneath, never thought of it but I never thought of that, but I lost a distant cousin to anorexia. So yeah. Anybody got anything there? Well, I
I
don't
really
remember the Turks thing. Does anybody remember that? I don't remember
No, I
that.
don't either.
I don't remember that. And I don't personally remember the nail talking about getting hair and nails done. Maybe that was Sally. Were you getting your hair and nails done?
Not me.
No, that was
Yeah, I
probably
don't
me talking
remember
about
that.
church and how I changed. You
Oh,
remember?
that's right too.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad was big
So
on the appearances too. I was less than 24 hours after having my baby, and he got all mad, said I didn't have enough makeup on.
oh,
I was
wow.
like,
And see, we're the opposite. We're the opposite about makeup and stuff. Not that I'm against it. You just don't need it. Like I think you should wear makeup to look like you don't have makeup.
they
So
were taking pictures, and he said I didn't have enough. He used to call it war paint. He said, "You need to go put some more war paint on. You look bad. You look pale." I thought, "We did, Dad. I look pale because I just delivered a baby." It's like,
well, I'm sure being from that generation we're from, you guys have all heard the thing where your parents says, "Don't worry about being kidnapped because if they got you under the streetlight, they'd let you go." I heard that so many times in my life.
that's
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
That's terrible.
Oh no, there was
yeah.
worse. There was worse. I have a face only a mother could love. I mean, it was endless, but I'm surprised I made it out of it. All right, Tim, you're
I'm
up.
up. Indian man. Oh, okay. This is still Little Floor 2975. He says, Indian man, the benevolent Father in heaven is the good God. Father sent himself to earth in the form of Jesus Barabbas. Yahweh is the devil. He is evil. His son is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is trying to pretend to be the true Jesus to fool people into worshiping him and his father Yahweh, who is the devil. So I guess he was just I guess the Indian man was on the last show.
I don't know, but he basically said all the things we believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't find anything wrong with it.
no. So here's Nikki. Awesome live family. And Sally, my dear sister, thank you for sharing a small part of your testimony. You had me in tears. I thank Father for helping you. I love you, sister. And Sally said, thank you, sister. I love you too. And that's that.
Esperanza Marie says, "Sister, I'm recovering too. 2007 is my recovery year. Can't beat them, join them. Almost killed me."
Oh, me saying that.
Yeah, I think your family.
Yeah, if I can't beat him, join him.
Yeah,
There's more comments under there if you wanted to go with that.
yeah.
I don't know.
Sally says, congratulations. That's awesome. Thank you, Father, for giving us the strength to put it down. Faye also said, "Thank you for sharing that, Sally. It was so relatable to me." And Faye also said to Marie, 17, me too. 17, yes, clean for me. I think she said
Wow.
17 years. That's great. Yeah, that's what she said. She said that down
That
there.
is awesome.
It
It is. Well, I didn't say this to you guys, but my mom was an alcoholic. I think you guys know that, but I didn't say it about it. She was an alcoholic, and I wouldn't allow her to do the same things to me when I had kids as she did with the rest of the family. And I didn't tell her that she couldn't see my kids. I just told her that she had to come to my house if she wanted to see my kids, because I wasn't allowing my kids at her house where all the chaos was. And 5 years later, it took her that long, 5 years, to come back. She shows up at my door, and I open the door because I forgave her every time. And I opened the door, and she said that she had stopped drinking. It had been a few years since she had been drinking. And, what a thing to do, though, like to admit, come in, say you're sorry, you quit drinking, and, you have to forgive the person and you have to move on. And she never drank again. So
That's
and it was a
amazing.
lifetime. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, where are we? CM303. A note for artist. Is there a way to mute? We already went on the conversation of the noise, so we will pass that one. On to you, Tim. Are you lost? Did I lose you, Tim?
I didn't know I was muted. Dang it. All right. From Na Refold Cirque. That was my best attempt.
Yeah, I
The
know.
law
It's
is a
hard.
contract between Yahweh and the Hebrews. You fulfill it, you get what he promised. Unfortunately, when Jesus fulfilled it, Yahweh did not. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I just lost where I was. Okay.
Oh,
Yahweh did not fulfill his end of the bargain. Thus the contract is null and void. I don't think Yahweh fulfills his promises either. I don't think even if you follow his law, Jesus Christ, he said, "Why have you forsaken me?" Didn't he say that? My God, why have you forsaken me?
so he forsook his own son.
Yeah, he was
He's
spotless and
double-minded.
blameless. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just read that again just to see if we're getting it right. The law is a contract between Yahweh and the Hebrews.
Because he promised.
You fulfill
The
it, you
promise
get
land.
what he promised. That's not even like it says the law is a contract between Yahweh and the Hebrews. You fulfill it, you get what he promised. No, you don't. He promised that the people would all go into the promised land, and only 2 of them went in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when Jesus fulfilled it, Yahweh did not fulfill his end of the bargain, which is true. Thus, the contract is null and void. Now, is
Which
that not how contracts work? Like if someone doesn't fulfill their end of the bargain, the contract is null and void. I always thought that was interesting too, but I don't know. I think Father paid for it.
What are your
myself.
thoughts on this, artist?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know he doesn't fulfill things in the Old Testament though, because if he had it, then there would have been about 2 million people in the Promised Land,
Yeah,
not two. You know, so it's kind of
going by
crazy.
going by his own character. You know, he did it to himself.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess go ahead,
My
Ellen.
turn. Same person.
Yeah.
Satan wants to be like God. Simple. To be God, he needs subjects, so he deceives, creates contracts, and binds people in the underworld. The cycle of suffering we are made to create for each other is the meaning, or is the means he creates the need for his methods, curses, vengeance, justice, etc. If we care for each other, his kingdom is broken, but we don't, and is hard. The hardship of this world makes it hard for people to love fully. Jesus overcame the world and has shown great love all his life, even to death.
Yep. Completely agree with that.
I think this world is set up to make people not love each other. And it's very, there's a lot of difficult times trying to love somebody. But Jesus showed us it's possible. And I think we can all prove that, right?
Yeah, I
I
think
think so too.
when he said it's hard, you know, it's about as hard as it is to turn the other cheek when someone smack you in the face. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's what makes
Yeah.
it so hard. So yeah, I think it's true that if we did conquer that we will be overcoming.
Yeah.
He set
I
the
think so.
example for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the right spot. Let me double check. Yep, the Indian guy is not up to date with information. When somebody just jumps on, when somebody just jumps on, I
On.
guess what I meant to say, yeah, without having watched your discussions prior, is always going to be confusing and frustrating.
Yeah. Plus, there
Yeah.
was like two conversations going on at the same time. Like the guys weren't even like waiting till the other person's question was answered, and then they were starting another question in a different topic. It was a little chaotic.
Faye, Faye put underneath. I watch every one of artists' discussions, and I still get confused.
It's okay, Faye.
That's
You'll
real
catch
though.
on. Yeah, I'm gonna let you read your own comments.
Oh man, this cat almost scratched me. Call him. I call him Baraba, like how a military sergeant will call me by my last name. It's the one that matters. And then
Okay.
now Refold Circ says underneath it, Baraba means son of father. Bar means son of. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with myself.
Well, I agree with him agreeing with me.
Yeah, I know. I'm only kidding. Okay. Judith Spears 9356. Yay, this is going to be interesting. You guys look for you every day. That's nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. CM303 says, according to the book of Enoch, the fallen angels were cast down here, and we have evidence of these old or odd technical advances all the way back as pictures to pictures drawn on cave walls. Enoch warns of the fallen angels teaching technology. It may seem to be a good thing at first, but leads to our destruction. For example, ironworking can make a tool for the garden, but as we see it, it leads to swords and guns. Making up or makeup can improve how one appears, but leads to sexual temptations, etc. The Bible also mentions Satan residing in the sea, and there are many videos of UFOs entering, exiting the oceans. Is there, or it's there? We were warned, but don't put too much energy or focus on it. We are told to learn the character of God and use that knowledge to judge by their fruit. Find God, get to know Him, and follow the directions of His Son home. May our Father in heaven guide us all, and may we have the heart to follow. You guys got any Any objections? No objections?
Not really, I don't think.
No,
Twice?
Sally. No.
once, going twice.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, your turn to
Trapped in room 1014. For folks preaching Gnostic texts, they say that Christ is the son of the demiurge. It really is a different father.
You said, wait, for folk preaching Gnostic text, they say that. Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, I said, why would we know what would happen if the devil tested JB? That's like knowing what moves two chess players would make. That was referring to Joshua, I think, when he was asking, like,
Yes.
yeah, what if he tested JB? And it's like, you know, I talk to Dan a lot, and I hate those kind of questions because I'm like, why? Why are we not going off of facts, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, they don't want you to speculate, but then they ask a question that you have to speculate.
Yeah.
You know? But even in that question, like Artis said, Artis' reply was perfect because that's exactly what I said last night or the other night. I don't think Barabbas could be tempted. He was divine.
Yeah, he's all knowing. How could he even be tested? He's all knowing, you know?
Exactly. That's like having the answers to your test and being told you have to take it still. So, all right, Tim, it's your comment. I'll let you take it.
Yeah, me
Your
again.
comments there. Well, you might as well do your comments. It's your own fault. It'll be a lesson to you. Don't comment so much. No, I'm only kidding.
Oh, dang. Oh my goodness. I'm
Your
trying to
turn.
catch up. Okay. Wait, there was a reply there too.
That
Oh,
was
yeah,
Artis, and yeah.
Oh, you already said that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Why, when someone don't like the answer to their question, they continue to ask as if our mind will change and give another answer? If you don't like the answer, just disagree and move on. But to ask again, like, you know, like, hey, is 2 + 2 4? Yes. Are you sure?
That happens a
Okay,
lot.
it's 5. It's 5 just because you want it to be.
Yeah, it's like, this is my answer, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me get through all mine. I brought up how Satan goes the same as Absalom in the Old Testament, because I guess someone asked what is Satan's goal. So I think he should be compared to Absalom, and his goal is he's never gonna repent. He's just gonna keep trying to deceive and keep trying to take over. The reason Christ did not Satan was to please his God Yahweh. They are separate, and Christ is supposed to be the blameless, spotless sacrifice that Yahweh promised when Isaac was willing to be sacrificed. You know, when he said that he'll provide his own sacrifice. Knowing this, that makes that a lot more, you know, morbid.
Yeah.
Nah, hey, you know what? Don't unalive your son. I'm gonna unalive mine. Don't worry about it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this one here, I'm going to read it, and I definitely need your response, Artis, because I'm not sure how to respond. She said, hey, this is Nikki. Hey, family, me again. When Nick Alin's son said to the 22-year-old guy that was arguing with about a Barabbas being the one in the wilderness, he gave the example about the demons being put into the pigs. He said that was Barabbas that did that. But last week, I asked the question if it was Barabbas or JC, and the whole panel, as far as I remember, said that it was JC, which this is what I think also, because it was a cruel thing to do to those innocent animals. And they unalived themselves right after. If I am remembering correctly, which I think I am, why didn't anyone correct Nick on that? I sincerely hope that I am not offending anyone, but I really would like to know, because that verse about the pigs makes Father look bad, to say the least. And I know that Father would never do that again. do that. Again, I hope that I'm not offending anyone. Please answer me on the next live. I don't
Well,
remember the conversation, to be truthful, so.
yeah, I don't remember how it came about either, but I look at it this way. It's like Nick's understanding at that point he may think that was him, and maybe we don't, but
Yeah,
everybody is at
and we
different
didn't
levels, like I said,
correct
of
everything.
learning.
Yeah.
And I don't sit here and correct everybody's little comment. It's like I can't do that. That wouldn't be right.
Yeah. And
You
you're
know.
right. Nick's a beginner still. Like, unfortunately, I took him down the Hebrew roots side, not Hebrew roots, but Hebrew Messianic side. He's coming out of like that and trying to grasp everything, and I think he's doing fantastic myself. So please give him a bit of understanding too. But again, we can't correct everybody.
I think he did amazing the other night. I mean, that was kind of an unexpected. Him showing up was unexpected because I mean he does come on every now and again, but like he was able to relate so well to TikTok because he was younger and he gave some examples of videos, games, and stuff that I never even heard of. So I think he did phenomenal. And again, going back earlier, what we said. Give us a little bit of grace as the show just continues to move. I mean, there might be things that I've said that are incorrect. All of us, we can make a mistake. So,
and we don't hear absolutely every single comment when there's more than one person talking, or like there's dynamics here, just like in any conversation. So, if because I think Nikki's pretty versed in things. I think she can figure that out. If somebody makes a mistake, so.
Yeah, as she did. I think what she really was asking for, I wouldn't say it. I think that correcting someone is a too harsh of a word, but for someone to at least throw that they think is Barabbas instead out there, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she probably expected that. But I guess we can say here and now, or at least I can say here and now, I do think that it was Christ, not Barabbas, and I don't think that Barabbas would let the pigs do that either.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel better, Nikki, I agree
Yeah,
with you.
because what would be the point in casting them out of somebody and then casting them into another creature?
Right.
I'm sorry, my mic was up. To cast them out of one
We heard you though. Yeah.
and into another creature would be cruel to that other creature, and I can't see him doing anything cruel.
Yeah.
No, me either.
no.
You're right, Tim. Okay. Actually, it's your turn, Tim, and it's your question.
Or my comment, Satan literally
Your
said,
comment.
"If you worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world."
Mm-hmm.
That one right there. Yahweh is a jealous God.
And that's the truth.
Forgot
And
what I was thinking when I said that, but
yeah, exactly, right? What do you do, Tim? Like, do you have the comment section going as you're listening to the video? And then like
what right
comment?
now? You talking about right now?
No, whenever you're making comments, like you do comments all through. Do you just like watch the video and then?
I'll just pull that phone out and say something because I was inspired,
Okay. Okay. So Esperanza's Marie 1975, and I probably blew that too. Thanks, guys. Another great show. And because that was so short, I'll carry on to the next one. Doobie, do I really want to do this name? What's that name, Tim? Okay, 7163. Ron Wyatt had Jesus's blood tested. Go look it up. Very interesting. I've seen that and I don't believe it. I don't. That's just my own opinion.
I don't either. How do they know they have his blood? Come on.
Yeah, I don't believe it for a second.
Yeah.
And then there's another question underneath there. There's one more comment in there, I think, underneath his. It says, yes, I recall the mother's material was in there. Would that make the Christos blood? piece. Yeah, I don't know about that one, guys. Just on that one with the Jesus blood there. I
Yeah.
did watch those things. I have, like, I'm not just commenting, and not watching this stuff and seeing it. I saw it. I don't believe it. So that's my opinion. You're up, Tim. Or are you busy? I'll carry on. Nikki Abba's daughter 2237 says, "Hey family, 2 quick questions for now. One, what was the ransom paid for us exactly? Because I know that he cannot truly be unalived, or was it the unalivement of his flesh only? I would like you guys' take on this, please. 2, what about intercourse? What is your take on that? Please let me know."
Okay.
Uh,
On the unalignment part, I would say that he said he was going to lay his life down. Nobody took it from him. He laid it down, and he'd take it back up again.
yeah.
So I think he could fully well do that. He could do anything he really wanted to.
Yeah,
You know?
I wonder if the people that unalived him thought that he would die. Sorry, whether he would be unalived if they did that. Like if they thought he would really be unalived, but not really thinking that he wouldn't, and that he's like the creator, and didn't. So in their like, think about Satan asking for that, like asking for him to do that as the ransom. Satan would want him to really be gone, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would.
Right. So he would have thought that he was really going to be gone, and he wasn't. He couldn't be. That's my take too on that. But about the intercourse, what about that? I don't know what she's
I
asking there.
do. Gosh. What about intercourse? What is your take on that? I guess she's asking if intercourse is bad.
I can't see it being because. Sorry. Go ahead, Sally.
I was just going to say, it made me think about the conversation that we had. I don't know, in one of the last lives that we had recently, we were talking about, oaths in marriage and that type of thing. And do you have to be married? And, Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Like, in my opinion, has changed since learning this truth. I think it's perfectly fine if you're in a committed relationship with one person. I don't think it's okay to go be promiscuous.
Exactly.
I think it's a a very special act. Between a man and a woman, a man and a woman who are in love. Do I think you have to have a marriage certificate for it? I personally don't any longer.
Yeah.
I just think you have to be committed to that person, and I think this is my opinion. I think it's fine.
And how would it be wrong, if it's like you say, in a committed relationship, how would it be wrong if the father said, here's male and female, multiply and fill the earth,
Yeah.
so it's not wrong. It's just, I think, like Sally said, you don't want to be jumping from partner to partner, if you're in a committed relationship. And sorry, go ahead, Sally.
No, I think that's it. I don't think he would want us to be, promiscuous, because, it is an act with somebody else, and, to become one. I mean, it is a very special thing, so
Yeah.
I think it should be treated as such.
And if you also think about the woman at the well, he didn't criticize her. All he said was that you're right. That's not your husband. You've had 7 or whatever, however many she had. But he didn't criticize her. He didn't criticize divorce. I don't think divorce is the greatest solution. I think it's a necessary solution in our world sometimes because people don't get along. And there's violence sometimes, but I think there's other ways of solving it, and if you can work things out, it's the better solution. But I don't think Father, we've all agreed that he's not judgmental, so I don't think he's judging people on that.
Agreed.
Yep.
Tim,
My
you're
turn.
up. That's your question.
Let's see if I'm still there. Huh? Okay. Shouldn't we take what people? There it is. Shouldn't we take what people say and do as literal until proven otherwise? Of course, the Bible is a literal historical account through Yahweh's perspective. I think I brought that up um, because
Because
someone
you're
was
saying
like,
physical or literal or metaphorical.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "Why would someone say to me, I'm gonna be in town Tuesday. Make sure you pick me up at the airport," and I'm supposed to think that means some spiritual, like, man, I better be at the airport Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Literal. Why would we ever go anywhere away from literal at first anyway? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not trying to listen if you're not even listening to what they're directly saying to you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think metaphorical comes in when you've got people that are really, going down, thinking deeply into a conversation, but on an everyday conversation basis, like, we're just talking literal, like, all right.
I think it's a historical account. It's telling us what happened, and I think we got to discern.
It's telling us 90% of what happened and 10% of what really didn't.
Oh, we
Artist,
had a
you have
box.
anything to say?
Yeah, I take it literal, but then there's also a spiritual level you can look at it too. I mean, I think you look at both.
Yeah. I don't see, now tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see metaphorical as spiritual. So,
I call it spiritual. They might call it
yeah,
metaphorical, but I think there's different levels of looking at it.
yeah, yeah.
Like I even look at a futuristic when I look at the modern Greek. So there's different ways you can look at it. You know.
And I was
Yeah,
gonna
for
say that
sure.
when he said, "Do to others as you want done to you," I think that covers so much ground on because you was talking about the intercourse, and I meant to say that just do to others as you want done to you. That's it. You know, I
Exactly.
think that makes everything very simple.
That could be a touchy subject. Okay. Carl Clockwell, 2947. I think this is the last question here, but I have one more that I want to do. How come you guys don't do Bible studies on things around the world like UFOs and why it's all over the world? These cultures have drowned spaceships.
I actually answered that question and YouTube deleted the comment.
I was going to say, I don't see any comments.
No,
What
I
did you
did. I
say?
answered. I said, what do you think is more important, that we talk about UFOs or we talk about the truth of our true father, Jesus Baraba? That
And
was
they
my
deleted
comment.
that.
They deleted it, yep. Isn't
They
that
Dang.
do a
crazy?
lot of comments. They delete a lot of things. It really bothers me they do that because a lot of people will
Yeah.
think that I'm not even responding, and I have.
Well, I mean, simple comment like Faye asking why the captions weren't on. They deleted mine trying to tell her why the captions weren't on. So, I don't know.
So
That
weird.
It's weird.
was
It
picking
is.
up something. Like, I don't know. Maybe they didn't like me saying Jesus in the comment. I don't know, but I went back later and noticed it was gone. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I just have this one last question, and that's something Cypress brought to me. I'm going to put it pretty simply compared to what we did online today, but he just wants to know, is it a choice or a gift, salvation? He gave us some scriptures, which I'll just name the scriptures, and then we'll talk about what we think. So he said 2 Timothy 2:15, Luke 19:10, John 10:9, John 14:6, John 6:44, versus James 4:8, and Philippians 1:29. We discussed that today, and Tim, I'm going to let you answer the question because you answered it good. So
Oh, I did. Man, I can't even remember what I said.
can't remember what I had for lunch.
I can't go back and
You
look at it
said
because it's on the same phone.
that's okay. That's okay. You said that it was both. It was definitely a choice and definitely a gift.
Oh well, yeah, that was my answer to the whole, yeah, to all of it, yeah.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because repentance, you got to choose to do it, and seeking, you got to choose to seek. So everything is really a choice first, but then once you
Yeah.
get it,
I
you
think
know,
it's a gift. I think it's both as well, but I think it's the opposite. I think it's a gift first. But when somebody hands you a gift, you have to take it out of their hand. And by that, you have to do it by action and choice, you know?
well, I look at it like a relationship, and as a man, if a woman chooses me for me, not for the things that I have, but because she values me and I know that she's valuing me, then she has access to everything in my kingdom. You know, and,
Exactly.
if she has all those gifts, you see what I'm saying? But
Right.
she had to have chosen me first. If she not choosing me first, I'm not. I'm gonna listen to my homeboys. I'm gonna be like, nah, man. I know she for the streets. I know she's just a gold digger. You know. So she's not
Yeah.
gonna get nothing. I'm only gonna get out of her without when we're hanging out. But
Yeah.
she get no permanent gifts and stuff like that will go to the family. What's up, D?
You think they're gonna do
DD?
it?
Debbie or D
Oh,
Debbie. D
To
DB
BB.
52.
Oh, wait a minute. They asked me a question. Oh, my
Sure.
stars.
Hey, how are you doing?
Did you know you were up there?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, it had
Do
you
you have
as
a question?
requesting, so I hit accept.
I must have hit something because my phone was falling and I grabbed it, so I must have hit the
Okay. Well, you have a
join or
question
something.
since you're up here?
Um, gosh, I have 1,000, but I couldn't even. I can't even think right now. I'm
We put you on the
sorry,
spot.
but I'll join y'all another time. I was in the kitchen cleaning up some dinner and grabbed my phone and hit it the wrong way.
No problem.
Okay,
But
DeBeebe, it's nice to meet you, though.
nice to meet you all. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a good night.
You
Night.
too. All right.
DD, come back. Was that all of them for today?
That was all the questions, I think. Yeah. Um,
Looks like you're right
yeah,
on
and I
time.
think I think we handled everything tonight as far as what I was going to bring up, because I was going to bring up some of the conversations that we talked about as far as Oh, I do have one other thing. I'm hoping to. This is for anybody that's on our Discord. I'm hoping that everybody can sort of, if you have questions, if you could put the questions in the general comment section, and I'm hoping that everybody that's in the Discord will help solve some of these questions people have, that they constantly go in the private messages to artists and to Tim and myself and Sally. And I'm hoping, like, we don't mind some questions, but we're four people and there's many other people who are asking questions and stuff. And we're just hoping that some of the people in the Discord will help answer some of the questions that people have that maybe not on the same level, that, and they're just looking for some advice or some, answers to things that might be able to be solved rather than going to Gullinev, who's trying to get ready for, the next live or studying, because there's a lot of studying that she does that takes a lot of time. So if that's possible, we're all a family in there and everybody can help everybody. If we can't solve the question, obviously, then, we can ask artists or anybody that would know more about it to reply or whatever, if that's okay with everybody. And that's all I have to say.
Monica had something. She said, I wonder if what sifting means. I get it. He said it was sifting like wheat. It sifts like, so that means it's like it flows through the person like the kind of shaking, I think. That would be my, to me it's like possession, or something.
Well, is it like sifting? Is that what she said?
Yeah, she's asking what sifting means. Like, and
there'd be a
I know
couple
in
different ways
Isaiah
of
it says
sifting.
sifted like wheat is sifted, like a flour sifter,
Well, I guess that would even work on the sifting of Yahweh sifting bodies, because he kind of flows into someone's body like wheat would fly in a field, He
Right.
flows into their body and takes over. So got to remember that they're demonic, or they're different entities, if you know what I mean. So
I would say look at all the evil things that are going on in the world by different people, and I would say all those people are probably sifted.
I think so too. I think a lot
so.
of the elite people are sifted. Oh, somebody else had brought up in the Discord about twins. And I've been seeing a lot of stuff, Sally knows what I'm talking about how one actor will be several people. They just basically, they unalive them and then they take over another
Their
role.
character dies, and then they play a different role. I mean,
but there's also twinning. There's also twins. I noticed that there's a lot of sets of twins. I think Hillary Clinton is a twin.
Cloning is in the scriptures too, in the modern Hebrew. There's sections that talk about cloning.
Do you remember that scientist that was fascinated with twins way back in like the early 1900s? There was a whole thing about it. He used to like.
Oh yeah.
I think there is something to do with twins. So. Yeah.
I mean, they did a whole thing. I don't know what I can say on here without us getting a strike, but
yeah, we have to be careful.
The World War II thing, those people, they had a lot, what they were doing with and experimenting and stuff with twins too.
Okay, yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I had to say, guys.
We're sitting right at 3 hours. I guess we'll call it for now.
Has it been 3 hours?
Boy. Yeah, I think so. We started at 7. It's 10. Yeah. It's 10 o'clock.
Well,
this was a good one, though. I think this went well, and
I think it was really good. I can't wait to watch it back.
Yeah, I always look forward to watching it back because I miss some of the stuff doing other things here. So, but
when we're commenting and we're trying to keep up with the chat and stuff, it's hard to take it all in at the same time.
Exactly. Anyway, everyone have a good night.
Y'all too.
I love you guys. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all again in a couple of days here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Night.